Hey, what's going on? My name is Dean the Wealth Coach, and in today's video, I'm going to do a review on this book called Do It Today by Darius Faroo. This book I picked up, it kind of just caught my eye when I seen overcoming procrastination and improved productivity. That's something that I struggle with from time to time. And I always like picking up a new book to see what their perspective is on how I can implement some of the lessons in their books. As I started reading it, immediately I started gravitating towards it. It wasn't published too long ago, so it's more up to the times than most books. And a few notes that I took on this book is the recipe for a good, simple life is to get clear on what you want, but eliminate everything else from your life. It seems pretty straightforward, but a lot of us, we don't know exactly what we want. You ask people what they want, and they're like, I'm not sure. I just want this and I want that. Like a house. I just want to go on vacation. But when you get a house and vacation, then what, right? So you need to become very clear as to what it is that you want in life. And we do a lot of things that just waste a bunch of our time. Eliminate everything that has no value to you. When you decide you want to do something, you must have a plan to take you there. Imagine going on a road trip. First thing you got, before there was a cell phone, there was actually maps. People would buy the map books of like Canada, the US, and would figure out their destination, uh, street by street, state by state, province by province, city by city, whatever it may be. And they would literally map it out. That's the same thing about life. You got to map out what it is that you want for your life. If you don't map it out, you're just going to be running in endless circles. Just do it today, not tomorrow. What to do when you can't focus. Things can't interrupt you without your permission. You control everything that you do. You can't control what other people do, but if you're able to control what you do, you'll have a much better life. Whenever you're not focused, you're giving someone permission to enter your mind. So that can be your cell phone, it could be someone that you're talking to. You need to be able to just say no or turn off your device or let people know, hey, from this time to this time, I'll be busy, so I won't be able to take your call or be able to interact with you at that time. Some ways to improve focus. So one chapter talks about just eliminating. So I mentioned that earlier, just eliminate anything that doesn't allow your life to be simple or make you or allow you to stay focused on what you're doing. Think about the past. Remember positive events that happened in your life. This releases the happy juice in your body, which is called serotonin, I believe. You can Google that and look it up because I'm not too sure. When you reflect back on things that happened to you before in the positive light, it kind of lets you know like, hey, I struggled with, for me, I struggled with reading, but when I learned to become a better reader, it became fun. And as I became an adult, I didn't read as much. But when I remembered how it made me feel, because I used to be in a special program where I would read books and the teacher should give me chocolate bars. So that was kind of exciting for me. It's like, yeah, I finished this book. And when I got a bit older, I started to read Goosebumps. For those that know what Goosebumps is, it's a series of horror stories for like teenagers. So for me, remembering how I used to feel when I was younger kind of led me to start reading now again as an adult. How to beat procrastination. You can't escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading today. Willpower doesn't work, systems do. If you think or if you want to get things done, you need to have rules. Systems, rules, procedures, whatever you want to call it. You need to have some form of foundation structure into what it is that you're doing. If you create a system for something, it makes your life 10 times easier. Say, for example, cleaning out your garage. You know, it's a very daunting task, but it needs to get done, right? You're gonna it's easier to set out a roadmap as to what you're gonna do before actually trying to do it. I've cleaned up my garage several times, and I wish I kind of had a plan to do so because it's something that I say, you know what, I'm never doing this again. But if you have a plan in action, where things go, what needs to be thrown out, what can go in the garage versus what can't go in the garage, it makes your life that much easier, especially the second time around. So it's like if you have that system laid out, hey, you can give it to everybody in the family and be like, listen, this does not belong in here. This can go in here. this shelf is for this, that area is for that, like, you know. So it kind of makes your life easier, and just having a set of rules or standards in place. How to stop wasting time and improve your personal effectiveness. Results matter most. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you're aware of your time. If you don't measure your time, it's hard to stop procrastination and improve your productivity. If you want to manage your time better, you have to know where it goes first. Darius mentions in the book to keep an activity log for 2 weeks to a month, hour by hour. I know that sounds crazy, but the better you are at figuring out where your hours are going, the easier it is to put you back on track to becoming more productive and reduce procrastination or eliminate or stop it altogether. So the next thing he says to do is identify non-productive work. Go through all recurring activities in your log one by one and what would happen if you stopped doing them. I kind of do something similar in terms of finances, but not time. I never thought about it in that light. It's like, maybe I should do that for my time. If I could do this for money, why can't I do it for another measurement, which is time? And with people, when I'm coaching them on to manage your money better, first thing I tell them to do is go through your bank statements for the last 3 months and write down everything that you spent money on. And it gives them a realization as to, man, I never knew I was spending too much here. Or I'm always going to Tim Hortons or taking Ubers. Same thing applies with your time. If you can write out your time and see where your time is going, it will have a drastic change on how you do things. Like for me, now I got this book or this planner that I'm creating where I literally write out all what I do hour by hour or what I'm going to do hour by hour so that I can stay on track. Third thing is, after going through step 1 and 2, is eliminate time wasters. You can do this exercise about 2 to 3 times a year just to audit your time, evaluate where you are. The wealthy, this is what they do. They literally have a schedule as to everything that they do. If you ask a wealthy person, hey, what do you do at your time? They can probably tell you minute by minute as to what it is that they do. Habits of unproductive people you don't want to copy. So he gives you a list of unproductive things that you don't want to copy. Working too much, worrying too much, being stubborn, checking things, so like email, escaping life. Another thing is always saying yes. I'm a big person that always says yes to people because I just want to see people. I just like helping people, but sometimes helping people can cripple you. And if you want to be in control of your life, you got to learn to say no. And the more you say no to things, the better quality of life you'll have. Because if you're doing something and you stop to do what you're doing to help somebody else, you're gonna become frustrated and be like, why did I do this? Why did I, like, you know, you're just asking a million questions to yourself as to why you said yes instead of saying no. Like, no, we don't like to hear that the word no, but no is crucial. Like, you have to say no to people. Another thing is not writing things down, being hard on yourself, neglecting your personal education, and hating rules. If you're not learning, you're unlearning. Where I heard that, I can't remember, but it just slapped me in the face when I heard that. I was like, yo, that makes perfect sense. And you have to continuously learn. Like, life is all about learning, like learning experiences and then just enjoying the journey of learning about life. The next part he talks about, and I started adopting this method and I kind of like it. It's like one of the first of a lot of things I said I'm gonna implement that I've actually implemented, and I feel good doing it. Having an evening ritual to close out your day. You take 30 minutes to close out your day, and it breaks it down into 4 sections. And Jim Rohn, I used to hate that guy, but when you really take in what that guy says, yo, he says some powerful stuff. So he said, at the end of each day, you should play back the tapes of your performance. The results should either applaud you, which is producing, or prod you, which is not producing. When you think about it, I like to use athletes. What do athletes do after games? They watch their tapes. They see where they made a mistake, where they can improve, or what the other team was doing, or the next team that they're going to be playing, what they do. So for us, why are we not playing back our tapes to see, was this day productive? Did I do anything today? What could I have done better? So pretty much we need to start writing out our or closing out our day, as they call it. This is like the perfect thing to do. It's like 30, you can take up to 30 minutes. You don't necessarily need 30 minutes. But you go through it, so you go the first 10 minutes, you close out your day. You remember what you did. A lot of us forget things that we did. So that's why it's always important to write things down. Review your progress and see whether you're doing things or doing all the things that you should be doing. If you're not getting 0.1% to 1% closer to your goal, then it wasn't a productive day for you. Next 10 minutes, you want to review your calendar for tomorrow, write out your to-do list. For me, I used to just wait for the day, and when I started doing that, my list was like so long, I never got it done. And it feels, at the end of the day, I'm like, yo, I didn't accomplish anything, and then it leads to burnout for me. So I do it at night now so that in the morning I don't have to think about it. Next 5 minutes, you want to prepare your outfit. This helps preserve brain power. You ever wake up in the morning, whether it's to go to school, go to work, or whatever it may be, and you're just staring at your closet like this? I used to do it all the time. To be honest, I got rid of half of my closet just because I hate trying to think what I'm going to wear. And I just have a go-to pile now. Tracksuits, hoodies, black t-shirt, white t-shirt. Makes my life so much easier. Like now I understand why the elite, they stick to just very simple basic things because they don't want to waste time on thinking what to wear. Like who cares? Then your last 5 minutes, you want to visualize what the next day looks like. It's pretty much just writing out what you want to happen. They say you create what you want twice, once in your mind and then once in reality. So if you write out what it is that you want done for the day, then it will be easier to obtain the following day, and you don't have to think about it. When things just happen for you, like, man, it's because I wrote it down yesterday and I just had that on my mind. Like sometimes when you're just dreaming or just visualize or sleeping or whatever, and you're just in like deep sleep, like things come to you and it's like you just wake up with just a spark of energy. Like every day I just wake up now, boom, let me make a YouTube video, boom, let me work on my next project. Like I'm just so energetic to just work on things. We need to start closing out our day. A lot of us don't do that. We just continuously just are in work mode where we're just on the go. Next thing, what's the next thing I gotta do? What's the next thing? And instead of giving yourself the time to actually just wind down and just relax and being able to have a proper night's sleep, we're just doing the most. And we need to just stop what we're doing and just close out our day. It's like, all right, I did enough today, let me move on. The next thing that he mentions in the book is most people procrastinate in life because they're doing stuff they don't like to do. The secret is to do stuff that you love so you won't procrastinate. Nothing will work if you're not passionate about what you do. So that's another thing that you need to keep in mind. And he also quotes Seneca, to be everywhere is to be nowhere. So you got to kind of just put yourself in a direction that you want to go and not do too much. The next thing he mentions is the power of having mantras. The more you say it, the more it kind of just helps you embody what it is that you're trying to do. And he gives an example of Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather, when he's training, he just consistently says hard work, dedication, hard work, dedication. And he just keeps that in his head over and over. For the author, Darius, I can't remember what his mantra was, but him saying that kind of sparked an idea in my head where it's like, put something up on a wall where you can see it all the time. For me, I created my mantras. It's what's the worst that could happen? And keep going. I need to overcome fear. And the way I overcome fear is to think, what's the worst that could happen? If I'm in the middle of doing something and I don't want to finish, or I find myself procrastinating in completing it, I just got to say, you know what? You got to keep going. Keep going until you finish it. How to focus better is to manage your attention instead of time. When you try to manage your time, well, for me, I struggle with managing my time. But when I manage my attention, I'm actually better at doing that. So it's like if I'm not gravitating towards something, or it's coming down to like my creative juices are like diminishing, that's a sign for me to stop because my attention is pretty much flatlined. So I got to move on to the next thing. The next thing is perfectionism is destroying your productivity. I am guilty of this. Research shows that perfectionism is closely related to depression and low self-esteem. Perfectionism is a form of procrastination. For me, not with this book, but another book I was reading, I can't remember which one. There's a professor, he has two groups of people. One where he says, and I think it's for photography, where he tells them focus on just taking one good picture, and then the other ones focus on taking pictures every day. And the results that he found from the two of them was the people that practiced every day taking pictures ended up coming out with better pictures than the people that were just focusing on the one picture. When you focus on just being perfect, perfect leads to nothing. It's because you're just always going to be critiquing yourself. Okay, I need to do this, or no, I need to add this, I need to take away that, and it just becomes too much. So it's better to start and just be okay than to never start because you're trying to strive for perfection. Next thing is, achieving a goal is not the only thing in life. It's more about how you reach your goals and aspirations. This is something that I preach all the time. Fall in love with the journey versus the actual goal that you're trying to achieve. Think of yourself being on a mountain. If you start climbing that mountain and you get to the top, yeah, I made it to the top. Oh, now what? Like, you know? And when you're telling that story to people, people don't, yeah, the end goal is great, but it's the buildup of how you got on to the top of that mountain. That's what people like. Fools learn from experience, learn from others' experience. When you have little money, buy books, and what you have left, buy food and clothes. That's like a quote from somebody. But if you can get experience from other people's knowledge, why wouldn't you want to take that route instead of trying to figure it out yourself? Like, say, it's a poor example, but oh man, I can't even think of one right now. What's a good thing? Let's just use doctor for now. You could go to school, or no, you could learn on your own to practice medicine, which could take, I don't even know how long, or you can reduce the time it takes by going to school. I know it's a poor example, but just stick with the concept here of you doing it by yourself versus learning, where they kind of condense the learning curve. So pretty much you can go to school, I know 10 years, and with that 10 years of schooling, then you're done. Whereas if you have no schooling, you're just trying to figure it out. It's like trial and error, trial and error. And sometimes going down that route, you might end up with nothing because it's like you're just trying so many things, and it's like you always hitting a road bump or a roadblock and you can't figure it out. So try, or if you can learn from somebody else's experience, then that's the route you should take, so that it reduces the amount of time that you have to put into learning something. Because you have to remember one thing: our time is not infinite, our time is finite. So the more you can gather something very quickly, the more you can enjoy life. Another thing he mentions, and I wasn't expecting this, was take a vacation. A vacation in itself won't make you more productive, but when you have more days off, you will have a strong desire to get more things done. I used to take vacations all the time, and I found myself, like, reflecting back, I always found myself doing more before that vacation comes, so that when I came back, I'm either on track or I have less to do when I come back from my vacation. And it kind of just allows you to just wind down and just recharge your battery. A lot of us just keep going. We're working 10, 20, 30 years straight. We've been going to school for like 5, 6 years, and we don't take a break. You need to give, as much as you give your body a rest after exercising, you need to give your mind a rest from just always thinking. Like, your brain is one of those, is your brain an organism or a thing? I don't know, but pretty much your brain is just always on consistent work mode. Let it just rest for a sec by just you going on vacation and just chilling out. Like, you know, rest does so much for the body. It helps boost your productivity and just makes you more focused when you get back from your vacation. To boost productivity, make a daily movie. Read a lot. Allow yourself to get bored. When I say make a daily movie, you're the main character of your movie, not somebody else's movie. And you just make it something where it's just interesting, because if you're able to just write out in terms of like your schedule, it kind of just makes life a bit more fun, you know? Just changing things up here or there. You get my point. And just read a lot. Get bored. So when you get bored, whenever you hit a creative roadblock, just do nothing, literally nothing. Allow yourself to just be like this and just think. It just does so much for you. Like, I've been in those situations where I'm just always just trying to create something. I'm just like, man, I'm stuck. And the moment I just go either in my bed or just lie down on the couch and just something, it does something for me in my brain, and it's just like, okay, boom, I'm back on track now. Now I can start working again, you know? So it's a good thing to practice. Just allow yourself to get bored and just to chill out, you know? Eliminate browsing. A lot of us struggle with eliminating that because our phones are just always in our hand. It's by our side. Like, we just never let go. And we got to be able to just leave that phone alone. When you feel you are not productive, chances are it could be interruptions or multitasking. Both drain your energy. When you juggle multiple things simultaneously, you engage in context switching. It takes about 25 minutes to return back to the original task after interruption. A lot of people, it's always their cell phone. It's their go-to. You hear that alert and you're right back on your phone. Put down the phone, leave it alone. In terms of when you're doing something, do your work, then go to the phone. If the phone is that much of a distraction, put it in a different room. Put it in your drawer. Put it on silent. Put it on airplane mode. One thing that I know a lot of people do, they keep it face up. Put it face down on silent. It can't bother you because you don't know what's going on. For me, the moment I see like a shiny object, boom, I turn. So when I mean shiny, like the reflection or whatever. So if you put it on the other side, flat down, if you have a case, then you don't see that stuff, right? Here are some things to make you more productive. Always cut to the chase. Record all your thoughts and ideas, meaning write it down. Get a journal. Say no. Learn to say no. It does wonders for you. I don't even know how to explain it. It just does wonders for you. Like, it puts a smile on your face. Trust me. Take 5-minute breaks every 30 to 45 minutes. My cap is like 30 minutes, but when I'm like in beast mode, I can get up to 45 minutes. Eliminate everything that distracts you. Turn off your phone. Send your kids into another room. Go to the library. Whatever it takes. Get away from those distractions. Keep away clutter. It's hard to work in a cluttered environment because then it starts to clutter your mind. Focus on one thing. One thing only. Stop consuming so much information. You learn something, digest it, let it soak in, then apply it before moving on to something else. When you hit a roadblock, that's a good time to take more information in, if need be. Create routines. Don't multitask. A lot of people think multitasking, you're getting more done, but you're actually getting less done by multitasking. Plan the next day. It's less brain power for you to think about what you need to do when you wake up in the morning. Keep thinking to a minimum. Our brains are always on the go, just thinking, what if this, what if that? While just stop, just eliminate it. Minimal thinking. Exercise. Daily exercise is important. Whether it's speed walking, going for a light walk, push-ups, sit-ups, jumping jacks, just keep the body active. The older you get, the more you deteriorate. So you got to be able to just keep up with the times. Ask yourself, is this really necessary? If it's not, cut it. If you're having a day, guess what? Boop, press reset and just start all over again. And the last thing, do the work. Another area that Darius talks about in the book is how time off work improves your work and your life. Do nothing during your downtime. It's good for your well-being, and idle time allows your default network to make sense of what you've recently experienced or learned. I had this realization not too long ago. I was studying something, and it just wasn't clicking to me. I was like, yo, this is pissing me off. Like, why is it not working? Like, you know? But what I didn't do was I didn't allow myself to digest the information. I kind of say, or I like to say, like, I cooked a meal, or I learned to, or I ate the food, but I didn't let the food digest. I just went running. I just went to the gym and started playing basketball, which is not a good thing. You must digest, or what my parents used to say, before going outside to go play, let your food digest, right? Same thing with information that you just took in. Let it soak in. Let your I don't know what they call it, but like your brain connected to something so that it makes sense later for you. The moment I just stopped doing that particular thing that I learned, and I just gave myself to just chill out or veg out, I was just like, and boom, it hit me just like a ton of bricks. I was like, oh, I get it now. Okay, it makes sense. So the moment I did that, like, I was just on fire. Like, I just got into work mode, and I was able to do so much after that. When you power through your work, you burn out. Guilty. Your results suffer and you become less productive. Guilty. In some cases, you can become depressed, which will set you back even longer. Burnout is so real, and like a lot of us don't even realize it until it happens. You gotta be able to just pace yourself and just take your time. Like, there's no reason for you to be like, yo, I gotta get this done now, bam, bam, bam. Unless like your boss says you have a deadline. Like, they gave you to work an hour ago and they said they wanted it in like 15 minutes. Then yeah, you're on your own for that. But just in general, life, you just gotta slow down and just take your time and just let things marinate. Like, it does so much wonders for you. This I've heard outside of the book, but him just mentioning it kind of just sparked new things into my head. Prevent rather than cure. I've heard this before in terms of like diseases and stuff, is because when you prevent, so it's easier to prevent than to cure something. Let's just call ABC disease. To prevent it, you need to drink green tea every day in the morning to prevent ABC disease. So now you're preventing it by drinking that every day. Now you have somebody else that says, that's BS, I'm not drinking that tea. And now they get ABC disease. Now they got to go to the doctors to get either medication or surgery that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. But that could have all been avoided if they just took the tea every morning. Same thing with like people that smoke cigarettes. The labels tell you you can get cancer if you continuously smoke cigarettes, but hey, nobody listens to it until it's too late, right? Now it's like to prevent to prevent lung cancer. I'm not saying you can't get it without smoking, but you're kind of increasing the risk of getting the cancer by smoking. It speeds up the process, right? Whereas if you didn't smoke, you can kind of prevent that cancer from happening and saving yourself hundreds of thousands of dollars and just the heartaches of going through dealing with that disease. Use time blocking. Time blocking is like a savior for me. When you start blocking time, or even using a technique called the Pomodoro effect, it does wonders for you. Like, the moment I started using that technique, I was like, holy, this is a lifesaver. Why haven't I been using this before? This is something that they should actually be teaching kids in school on how to complete homework or projects. And so much more would get done if these things were implemented into the school system. And when you time block, it kind of like, all right, this is this time for this is this time for that, and this is this time for this. And it doesn't only apply to work, just everything in your life. This is what I'll be doing for the day. This time I drop the kids to school. This time I do the homework with kids. At this time I cook dinner. Everything is just in place. Not to say that everything will go according to plan, but you'll have a lot more accomplished with time block. And the next thing is, know your direction and not your destination. And what I mean by that is, if you can't decide on the direction you want to go in life, then that should be your automatic goal before doing anything, to figure out where you want to go in anything that you want to do, whether it's your career, your family, just figuring out your life in general. So figuring out the direction you want to go to get to that destination. So a lot of people just say, yeah, I just want to be at that destination, but what's the direction to get to that destination, right? So you need to figure out what it is your goal is in life before venturing off. Your first priority is to identify what you want, and then make sure that you take the path that's going to give you what you want. The next thing is, and I've heard this many times, I think every Jamaican household also says this, too much of a good thing becomes bad. Sometimes you're just soaking in something, you're like, yo, this is gonna be like, nothing lasts forever. Everything has an expiry date, and when that date hits, you got to be prepared for it. Consistency is key. Improve by 0.1% every day. When things take a turn for the worse, instead of thinking, take a step back and focus on what lies within your control. What can you control? The only thing that you can control is your actions and your mindset. You can determine your desire, your attitude, your judgment, and your determination. That's the only thing you can control. Don't try to control other people. Never be surprised when bad things happen, but rather expect them to happen. Inconsistency is the enemy of results. Yo, when he said that, I was like, holy, this guy is speaking game right now. If you're not consistent in anything that you do, you're not going to obtain the results that you want. For me, I picked up DJing. I knew nothing about DJing, but the moment I came home after school, practice, scratching, blending, remixing, everything, to the point I actually got good. And it's because I was consistent at it. But the moment you're not consistent at something, it's not going to work for you. It's not going to happen. Try picking up a new language. Try learning French. Try learning Spanish. Try learning Portuguese. Try learning Chinese. If you don't practice that on a consistent basis, do you think you're going to be able to speak that language? No, you have to practice daily. Think of babies. Babies just don't start walking, right? Babies have to see and be like, hey, that person's walking, why can't I walk? And be like, yo, let me try to mimic those results. They start by trying and trying. They get up, they fall. They get up, they fall. Adopt the baby mentality in anything that you want to learn. This is not in the book, but this is just my words. And if you want to be good at something, you just got to consistently go at it in order to be able to see some results. Work your way up from a place of comfort. So a lot of people think you need to be uncomfortable before doing something. You can start from a place of comfort and just slowly take those steps into getting into the uncomfortable zone. Because the uncomfortable zone, you will start to see results. Next thing is start from the very bottom. Build a foundation. Get comfortable before you do the scary stuff. So that's what he talks about in terms of work your way up from a place of comfort. Can you build a house without a blueprint? No. So why is it anything in life we are not building foundations before starting anything? Think of yourself as a house. I need a blueprint before I can start this project. I need to know the steps on how I'm going to do this, or the bare minimum to do this, right? Once you have that down pat, then you can move to the next level. Just take your time and work your way up in increments. Your life will never change unless you take action. A lot of people make important decisions based off of fear. I know life is scary, but if you don't take these leaps of faith, you're going to die, or you're going to grow old with, what if I did this? Or I wonder what would have happened if I did that. Eliminate all that. Just put that first foot forward and try something new. Me being on YouTube, I'm an introvert. I hate talking to people. I hate just showing up and doing these things. But you know what? This is going to allow me to grow. This is going to allow me to be able to teach other people the wisdom that I have that I want to instill onto them. It's allowing me to be able to communicate with my family. I don't talk much, but if I don't talk, how are people going to know what's on my mind, right? So you need to step out of your comfort zone just a bit when it comes to the fear piece and be like, hey, I'm going to overcome this challenge, and I'm not going to care what happens, because I don't want to be the person that grows old and be like, what if? Or like, it's kind of just getting those things out of your head. And that goes back to the second or my first mantra that I said earlier, where it's, what's the worst that could happen? Ask yourself that before even starting. Or what you could do is, if there's something that you fear, take a piece of paper. Oh, like I got a notepad here. Take a piece of paper and draw a tiger on it. And that's your paper tiger. And put whatever it is that you're fearing as the name for that tiger. Then when you have that tiger, take the paper like this and flick it. When you flick that paper and it rips, that's you bursting through fear. That's you getting the courage to be able to do what it is that you're trying to overcome, or what your desire is to actually obtain. Everything that is worth it is hard. You have to put in that hard work. Like, nothing's just gonna happen overnight for you, right? You gotta be dedicated in whatever it is that you want to do. So if it's being the best parent in the world, then you need to work hard at doing everything that you can do to make sure that your child sees you in that light, and you can feel good about yourself going to bed at night. Whether it's becoming a doctor, it's hard to be a doctor, so you need to make sure you're putting in those hours to study, to make sure you know your stuff, because you don't want to be that guy that just barely passed to become a doctor, then you're working on people and then you're screwing people up. Like, lawsuits are coming, right? So everything that's worth it is hard. Anything that comes easy, be very cautious. You can achieve anything as long as you believe in it. Don't compete, create. A lot of us see something and we're like, yo, I want to be like that guy, or yo, I want to beat that person. No, create so that you don't have to be competing with somebody else, and you're not looking at them as a marker as to where you need to be. We all have different levels to our stuff, and we need to just create stuff so that we don't have to go after those people. When you assume that you have to compete with other businesses and other people for money, jobs, or attention, you engage in limited thinking. Instead, we need to adopt an abundant mindset. So it's like, don't scoreboard watch. Know what you need to do and just go out there and do it. because when you finish or get to that level of achievement, you're going to feel so proud of yourself. But when you're scoreboard watching somebody else's score and comparing your score to their score, and you don't hit those marks, guess what happens? You be like, damn, I didn't hit it. Oh, I don't want to do it. Most people will be that way. Some probably will continue going, but the majority of us, I'm for one been scoreboard watching. I was like, why am I scoreboard watching that person for? Me and those two people we didn't grow up the same. We're different. Like their metrics are their metrics. My metrics are my metrics. Let me just focus on me and being the best version of me and then surpassing that best version of me to becoming the better version of the best version of me. That sounds like a tongue twister. All strengths come with repetition. Have you ever heard that saying, hard work beats talent? So focus on the basics. Think of it like this. Baller A and baller B. Baller A is the best in basketball. Baller B is not the greatest. However, baller A never practices, but baller B practices every day. Who do you think will be better at shooting? Baller A has a talent, but the hard work that baller B is putting in to perfect his shot, he's going to surpass baller A because he's putting in that repetition. He's just repeating the same motions over and over again. The more you repeat something, the more it just gets embedded in your head, and it's like, all right, this is how you do it. You can do it all day long. So hard work beats talent. So make sure you set the foundation and you focus on the basics. So how to measure life. Set your own metrics that you can check. There's no universal metrics to assess your life. A lot of us are looking for that answer on Google. Hey, how do I measure my life? Google's not going to give you the answer. They're going to give you a very vague answer, but it's not going to be tailored to what you think life should be like. So you need to really sit down and figure out, hey, what is it that I want my life to look like? So you need to be able to say or jot down some notes or point form and say, all right, these are my metrics that I'm going to use to measure how I can say I had a successful life. Once you have that, then it's like, all right, let's hit the ground running now. Let's put these things into motion. You want to measure your energy. What small things can I do that have significant impact on my energy? An easy thing to do is exercise every day if possible and eat well. You are what you eat. If you eat bad foods, guess what? You're going to feel bad and your mood's going to be bad. If you're eating good foods, it's just going to give you that energy to just keep going. So like a banana in the morning. I don't know why the guy that created TikTok, he eats 8 bananas in the morning. And it just, I forget what bananas do, but it just gives them that energy to just get up and get working. The Rock, he wakes up at like 3, 4 in the morning and works out every day. And he does that to just keep his mind focused so that he can get his day started and complete everything that he needs to do. So make sure you measure your energy levels. Measure your work. How much can I still learn? If you feel that you have learned everything in something and there's nothing more to learn, you're wrong. There's always something that you can learn. It could be through a book, it could be through a video, it could be through somebody else's life experience. There's always something that you can learn, whether it complements it or it's kind of like off on a tangent from it. There's always something that you can learn in any area that you're studying. Life in general, there's always something to learn. We don't have it where we know everything. I have 4 kids and I'm still learning how to raise kids because all my kids are different. They're not all the same. One is energetic, the other one's quiet. Like you learn as you go. So never think that your learning stops. And remember what I said earlier. If you're not learning, you're unlearning. And this has been a very long video. So make sure that you have hit the subscribe button if you want more book reviews that I'm reading, so it kind of just saves you the time that you don't have to go through it. Next thing is your career and life are directly related to how much you learn. The more you learn, the more you earn. Knowledge must always be put into practice. To be successful, you must always act on what you know. Without action, knowledge is useless. I'm very guilty of. I've read so many books and a lot of them I'm not applying what I learned. Like, yo, it was some fire information, but I didn't apply it. So it's like, what happened? It fell on deaf ears, meaning nothing happened. So if you don't put that information into practice, boom, there it goes. Out the door, don't remember it. Or it might hit you later on, you're like, yo, I learned that or I heard that, and it's like you didn't apply it, right? So as you get that information, start applying that. I suggest sticking with 3 things, like when you're reading a book, because it just makes it a bit easier for you to just do what it is that you need to do. And you could always come back and read the book again and take the next new 3 things and apply those things. Just slow and steady, you know, like the rabbit in the hare. Slow and steady wins the race. This one's from Marcus Aurelius, but he quoted in a book, and it kind of just, I kind of took a step back from this one. I was just like, this one makes a lot of sense. And it was, think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now take what's left and live properly. When I heard that, I was like, yo, this guy, like, Marcus Aurelius, like, I need to find some, like, a really good book on this guy. So if you guys have any suggestions, leave it in the comments below. But when he said that, I was just like, yo, that's crazy. And me just thinking about going back to when I was younger, I was like, yo, I pretty much lived my life already. Like, I got to travel, do the most, no issues. And it's like, okay, I get it now. Like, I already lived that life. Now let me live my life properly, where it's like, I'm a father, I'm a wealth coach. There's people that depend on me. I got to make sure that I'm living life the way I should be living now. Just the proper route on what it is I'm out to do, which is to teach you guys on how to build your wealth. And building wealth starts by doing it today, or do it today. That quote is gonna kind of stick with me forever. I'm not taking anything for granted anymore. People die every day. My time could come today, it could come tomorrow, it can come in 50 years from now. I won't know. But I gotta live the way that my life, or the way that God has set my life out to be, and just continue just waking up and doing what I need to do every day. He also mentions that we're all going to die. And I stick with the good part of what he said versus the bad part. I don't even want to mention that. If you read the book, you can read it. But it's like, we're all going to die, and the positive reflection from that is it gives us urgency. So if you're not putting yourself in that mindset, like, yo, I gotta press the gas pedal on this because my life is not guaranteed, right? I got to make sure I do everything that I set out for myself. If I have a bucket list, I got to get to that bucket list. If I got kids to raise, I got to make sure I raise those kids right. If I'm starting a business, I got to make sure that business is set up. Whatever it may be, urgency. Just remember, there's always going to be an end date to everything. Life's not guaranteed. Life is not going to be forever. We all have expiry dates. So start working on whatever it is now. If you're around my age, which is in up there, not that old, but you need to just start living life now. And even if you're young, you think back and be like, yo, if you look back and say, yo, I lived a wild life or a good life, now it's time to live properly. This one is big and I like this one. The power of compounding. I just love that word. I don't know why, but the power of compounding just helps out so much. With the power of compounding, you can achieve anything if you stop trying to do everything. Oh, when the man said that, I was just like, ooh. Yo, this guy kind of crushed me with that one. I do everything, and I can't achieve everything that I want by doing everything. So I need to slow down and just focus on one thing at a time. Success adds up. Real success happens when you focus on one thing at a time. Just one thing, just one thing, just one thing. Narrow your concentration to one thing. And that is from the book, The One Thing. I listened to the audiobook, but I actually need the physical book. Like, audiobooks, like, it doesn't do that much justice for me. Like, I kind of feel like I need an audiobook and then the actual book so that I can take notes and do all my squigglies or whatever, right? And success is sequential, not simultaneous. Over time, it just keeps building, building, and building. You just gotta wait. Like, things will happen, just take your time with it. You have to combine patience with compounding to achieve the biggest results. When you got those two things in your back pocket, your results will amaze you. You can achieve big things with small actions that build up over time. If you keep doing it over and over, guess what? Compound interest. It just grows, grows, and grows some more. If you start using Duolingo and you use that every day religiously, you'll be speaking a new language in no time. It was just a random example, but it's just to give you the small actions build up over time. If you want to see impact of compounding in your own life, it requires you to focus on one thing at a time, one thing only. And that's for every aspect in your life. always look at the bigger picture. If you start looking at the small pictures, you're never going to get to that big picture. And it comes down, and he leaves you, Darius leaves you with one last thought, which is, it comes down to this: you'll get there if you put in the work, whether it happens today or it happens tomorrow or 20 years from now. The thing that you need to remember is it will happen, and that's all that matters. If you found value in this video, make sure to hit the subscribe button. And if there's any books that you would like me to do a review on that you would recommend, leave it in the comments below, and I'll see you on the next book review.